Managing Stress, a Balancing Act. This seminar is going to talk about how to recover from pressure and promote overall health. So, the seminar objectives are to define stress, learn the body's response to stress, incorporate 6 strategies to manage our stress better, determine what works for you on an individual level for managing your stress. The definition of stress is the consequence of a person's response to real or perceived demands and pressures, either mental, emotional, or physical, which may be internal or external. So, think about it. What stress factors are completely out of your control? Stress is how the body and the brain respond to any demand, and in each case, everybody responds differently to stress. We all have stressors that are out of our control, such as traffic in the morning, maybe our job, family, potentially our health or a family member's health, the weather, if you have a vacation planned, and there are many others. In actuality, almost every source of stress is out of our control, which then can lead to more stress and make us even more stressed out since we have no control and there's a lack of control. So how do we take back control? We have to control how we react and how we handle stress. This involves learning methods of handling stress, which we're going to talk about more in the next few slides. So, the body's response to stress. We have 3 things here. We have the perceived stressor, adrenal glands then become activated, and then we have our flight or fight response after the stress has been taken in. So, the body's response to stress is one of 2 things. 1, we can release adrenaline, which is the acute response. Or 2, we can release cortisol, which is the chronic response. Cortisol is actually our primary stress hormone. And these 2 hormones, adrenaline and then cortisol, are 2 different reactions. So with adrenaline, we have an increased heart rate, raised blood pressure, and increased in energy supplies. This is our fight or flight. Then we have cortisol. This is when we increase the release of sugars, fats, and amino acids into the bloodstream to meet energy demands. This also suppresses our other body processes like our reproductive system, growth processes, and digestion. So, when acute stresses pile up, they can lead to chronic problems. And when this occurs, the chronic problems can be a few different things. It can be headaches, insomnia, stress eating, weight gain. All of these things can happen when our acute stressors do pile up. And then with headaches, weight gain, stress eating, this can actually lead to obesity, high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, even fibromyalgia. So, the bottom line here is we need to keep our stress under control so that the acute stressors don't pile up. There are some stressors that can be good, and some stress can have motivating benefits. So, small amounts of stress can actually be good because it can help us to motivate and prepare for us to perform with anything in general. Some stress can help people develop skills to cope with certain things and to adapt to new situations. We also want to note that acute stress can pile up, and when it does cause the chronic stress, the stress can become so severe and so overwhelming that it can take a person's ability to take care of themselves away. It can also affect a person's family, and it can start to interfere with a person's daily activities and daily lives. When this is the case, and when stress has piled up so much so that somebody is chronically stressed, and when it is so severe and so overwhelming, that is the time that there needs to be a change, and potentially that person should seek help. There are different ways to cope with stress. Sometimes seeking help is one of them, but we will go through 6 actionable ways to help with stress later in this presentation. So we're going to talk about signs and symptoms of stress. There are a list here. I'm sure a majority of us have experienced some of these. So some signs and symptoms are feeling sad, frustrated, and helpless, fear and anxiety about the future, feeling guilty, crying, maybe some sleep problems, difficulty concentrating and making decisions, headache, back pains, and stomach problems, increased heart rate, and difficulty breathing. Stress affects everybody in different ways. Think about how stress may affect you. Think about these signs and symptoms and how many of them you have potentially encountered. So, these signs and symptoms can lead to other things as well, because there are a lot of different reactions that our body will have when we do try to cope with stress. So, stress can actually lead to increased cholesterol. It can lead to faster breathing and a faster heart rate. Your body actually starts to create more sugars for quick energy when you're stressed. Stress can increase stomach acids. Protein synthesis production is actually decreased. It can lead to poor digestion, increased blood clotting, and increased blood pressure as well. So pause and reflect for a second. Think about what the main sources of stress are in your life. Everybody has multiple sources, but sometimes 1 or 2 just take over. So think about the main sources that come with whatever is going on in your life. Everybody has something in their life that causes them stress, and everybody handles it differently. But that's something that we need to focus on, is our reaction and how we handle the stresses that come our way. So, obviously, stress is inevitable. We're always going to have some type of stress. We can't control majority of the things that we're stressing over, but we can control our response to the stress. So here are 6 actionable ways to manage our stress. 1, find balance. It can be very difficult to balance even work and personal life. And it can be even more difficult to continue when we're not replenishing our energy regularly. We should be sectioning off at least 5 to 10 minutes of personal time in our day, and that in itself can help us to feel refreshed. It's important to find an outlet that distracts us from tasks. So it could be coloring, reading, maybe meditating. There are a lot of different options, and it's whatever is going to work for you as an individual. Potentially exercise. A lot of people use exercise as stress relief and just to get away at the end of the day, and it's also good for us, so that's a positive. But it is really important. Finding balance is so crucial to having some stress relief, and at times it feels like all of our work is just so overwhelming. It can pile up, and it sometimes can just be more beneficial to take a step back from it. If you are at work and you have such a long to-do list and you know it's impossible to get it done by the end of the day and you're having an anxious day, sometimes it's good just to step back and regroup. Pick one task that you know that you can get done that day and feel good about, and do that to get your head back in the game, and then to regroup a little bit and move forward. And then maybe even just put your to-do list off until tomorrow, because at that point you need to just regain control and not be stressed. Being able to separate work from home is also very important. This will help you to relax and enjoy any time off that you may take, while keeping you motivated to start again when it's time to go back to work. When you take time off, it's very important to completely disconnect. If at all possible, don't check emails, especially if you're on your own vacation time. You need to find that work-life balance and be able to disconnect from work while you're away. And a great way to find balance really is to meditate. A lot of people may not think that they have the time for meditation, but it even could just be 5 minutes of your day if that is all that you have. It can be extremely beneficial. There are a lot of good things that come along with it for our health. And there are also apps now that can be extremely helpful. The Calm app is guided meditation and sleep stories. We have the Insight Timer for free meditations. And then the Headspace app, which is also guided meditations. A Harvard study actually shows that as little as 8 weeks of meditation not only increased feelings of calm, but it also decreased anxiety for people that did meditate for just 8 weeks. They increased their feelings of calmness and decreased their anxiety. It also stimulated growth in areas of the brain associated with memory, empathy, and a sense of self and stress regulation. So, number 2, stay organized. This is important at work and at home. Your physical and mental organization will either exacerbate or alleviate your stress. So it can be helpful to make a list of tasks for each day, and then the most important thing is to try to tackle the most daunting one first. If you do this, then you can move on, and if you do that first daunting task in the morning, it will allow you to focus on other projects without that nagging feeling that you have something that you need to finish all day. So if that task does happen to be organizing your desk, for example, do it, and then you'll be able to think clearer for the rest of the day. In general, it's important to try to keep our workspace as decluttered as possible because it can help us think more clearly. And this is the case for for example, our bedroom as well at home. We actually sleep better, studies have showed, if we have an organized and cleanly bedroom rather than a very cluttered one. So it's important to try to keep our bedroom, our workspace, and everything more decluttered and try to keep it as organized as possible so that we can think more clearly. Mess is stress. Just remember that. Even just keeping a running list of things to do to keep the house or the workspace organized can be helpful. 3, eat a balanced diet. So food is a huge part of every single thing we do. It's a part of our day. Every day we have to choose what we eat, and by making healthier choices, it will help us in a lot of different ways, including lowering our stress. The foods that we choose really can impact our energy levels and also our ability to concentrate. Nutritious foods will help us stay healthy, focused. It'll improve our ability to concentrate on the task at hand. And then just by choosing whole foods and eating the rainbow, trying fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, whole grains, healthy fats, avoiding processed foods, all of these things can help us concentrate more clearly. And just by concentrating more clearly, we're going to be able to decrease our stress a bit. Caffeine can also intensify stress. So try to avoid caffeinated beverages, maybe during an anxious week or a stressed out day, whatever it may be. And then even energy drinks. They actually have 4 times the amount of caffeine content compared to just a cup of coffee. So try to avoid especially the energy drinks if you are stressed out already, because it can increase your stress levels. So stress and cravings. This is obviously very important as well, because we all know that we can have stress cravings and they are actually very real. So stress can lead to the release of stress hormones, which, for example, cortisol, like we talked about earlier. And then cortisol increases cravings for fat and sugar, and it also alters our metabolism. Obviously, increased cravings for fat and sugar can lead to weight gain, and then it can also lead to abdominal fat storage. So, during times of stress, we often turn to traditional comfort foods such as macaroni and cheese, pizza, ice cream. And ironically, these high-fat foods are usually the worst possible choices because they can make us feel lethargic and less able to deal with stress as a whole. Not only that, but stress can drive up our blood pressure and raise our cholesterol levels. This can wreak havoc on our arteries, and it even can increase our risk of a heart attack. So, obviously we have heard that stress can lead to abdominal fat, and the mechanism is there. When you stress out, you release stress hormones such as cortisol, which increases the cravings, which leads to weight gain and abdominal fat storage. So this is something that we want to try to avoid, and by controlling our stress levels, we can somewhat try to avoid our cravings. Number 4, be active. So short bursts of exercise can alleviate tension and boost endorphins. We've all heard that endorphins make us happy, so that is something that's going to help us when it comes to stress. The type of activity that you do is completely up to you, and it should be something that you don't dread. Try to find an activity that you look forward to and that can be fun for you. The guideline is to reach at least 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous activity each week, and we suggest that you reach that in a way that you enjoy because, like I said, exercise does release those endorphins. This can help with our energy levels, and it can help with our mood overall. So, working out regularly is one of the best ways to relax your body and your mind. Plus, exercise will improve your mood, and then obviously it will pay off with some stress and tension release. So, it would be good at the very least to exercise 3 to 5 times per week for 30 minutes. It would even be better to do 2 hours and 30 minutes of moderate, intense exercise each week, like brisk walks. And then at best, it would be great to even potentially add 75 minutes of vigorous exercise, possibly swimming, jogging, or anything that gets your heart rate up. So focus on setting fitness goals that you can meet. Once you set one that you can't meet, it could potentially lead to giving up. So try to set realistic fitness goals, and then when you meet them, you can always add one to them. It's also important to try your best to find something that you're going to enjoy doing. If you're not a morning person, don't force yourself to go to the gym in the morning, because at that point, you're probably going to give up on it a few days in. Maybe the afternoon is better for you, or the evening. Maybe you don't like the gym at all, and you are intimidated by it, or you don't feel comfortable there, or it's too much money. If that's the case, work out at home. Buy some free weights or get some of those workout DVDs and do whatever you would like at home. It doesn't have to be what everybody else is doing. It's whatever is going to be good for you and something that you're going to be able to keep up with because you enjoy it. Also, it's always a good option to try something new like yoga. So, benefits of yoga, we have, first of all, it can really help with our stress response. It can reduce our heart rate, lower our blood pressure, ease our breathing. And then there are a lot of different types. So maybe you've tried one type and you don't like it, but you could try a different type. And the best way to be active, like I said, is to do something that you enjoy. So maybe something like yoga or something new that you would enjoy better. Many people think that being active means completely rigorous, crazy workouts at the gym, and that does not have to be the case. Just try going for walks, maybe try a spin class, try a yoga class. And like I said, yoga combines postures that help with our breathing, and it even incorporates meditation, which we touched on about how great that is for us as well. Number 5, schedule friend and family time. So we are a reflection of who we spend time with. You should use your time away from work to spend it with people who bring you joy and who push you to be kinder, more compassionate, and more loving. This joy will overflow into your work life, and you'll feel less anxious about your to-do list. Spending time with your loved ones is important, and sometimes we put that on the back burner, and it should be up on the front. Use your time away with the people that you care about most, and share your problems with them. They can help you to understand why you're feeling the way that you're feeling, or just maybe reassure you that you have a right to be anxious and stressed. But just having them listen can be extremely helpful. Plan fun activities with your partner, your children, your friends, family. When you plan fun activities and have something to look forward to, it also can alleviate stress quite a bit. Make time for those that matter most in life, and that in general can decrease your stress levels. And just remember, clue them in on your current mood, and that can also help with your relationships. Number 6, breathe. So, when it comes to this one, it's important to just take time out of the day to breathe and relax a little bit. Jot down times throughout the day to take a moment to refocus. Maybe even put it in your scheduler on your calendar. Have it pop up that you should do 5-minute meditation break or a 5-minute deep breathing break. And this should be your go-to. When you do the deep breathing, it can really help us to stay calm and to come back to reality if we're very stressed out or anxious. It can just help you to recenter yourself. This strategy will allow you to also refocus, regroup. Maybe take a walk away from your desk will just help, but even just sitting at your desk and doing a deep breathing exercise can be extremely helpful. So here are some instructions for deep breathing. You want to sit down or lay down, depending on where you are, in a comfortable position. Place one hand on your upper chest and the other just below your rib cage. You're going to breathe in slowly through your nose so that your stomach moves outward. Make sure that your chest stays still. Then tighten your stomach muscles and exhale slowly through your mouth. So the point here is you want to make sure you're breathing all the way from your abdominal area and not just shallow chest breathing. So this can be extremely helpful. It can have us do more efficient breaths. It can reduce our heart rate, reduce our blood pressure. It can help with our oxygen circulation. It can even distract us from stressful stimuli. So overall, it is going to decrease our stress levels, and everybody should try this deep breathing exercise when you can. Even if you just have 2 minutes at your desk, it would be better to do that than not do anything at all if you are stressed. It can help you to reduce your anxiety and to be a bit more calm. So, let's do a quick recap. Stress relieving strategies. We have 1, find balance. 2, stay organized. 3, eat a balanced diet. 4, be active. 5, schedule friend and family time. And 6, breathe. So, now we're going to challenge you to take action. Make small changes, first of all. Anything that's too big of a change or too big of a task, too big of a goal can become overwhelming and it may not get done. So just small changes, one at a time, is important. Focus on healthy exercise and eating habits. Set small weekly goals and check on them at the end of the week. Communicate with family, friends, and coworkers. Try to verbalize your feelings to them so that they have an understanding of where you're coming from. Practice stress relieving techniques that work for you, such as positive thinking, breathing exercises, stop and assess before reacting. Whatever works for you as an individual. And that last one can be important as well. Always stop and think and have a minute to really take in whatever has happened in front of you before reacting. It can make a huge difference on the outcome of the situation. The bottom line here is that the goal isn't to remove stress. We can't remove stress. Stress will always be there, unfortunately. But it's all about the response. It's all about responding to the stress in a healthy and mindful way. So what would you change today to make your life happier and to manage stress in a healthy way? Everybody has stresses, but we have to figure out how to react to them and how we can respond to them in the best way possible. So remember, it's about responding to stress in a healthy and mindful way.